spooky cloud. All right, thank you so much for joining me. I don't know what anybody knows about me, if you've heard from Shannon or Mr. Robert Moore or anyone else. My name is Anthony Cerna, and I'm speaking to you from Studio City, California, which is not very far from Los Angeles. We're in the Los Angeles County, but I did live in Florida for a good period of time in my life. I also lived in Hawaii, in New York, and in San Diego. Those are the biggest places I've lived. So what I like to do as I move along the subject, this is going to be about healing, empowering ourselves, enabling others, and it's been a beautiful journey, and I'd love to share it with all of you, and hopefully we're all teammates at this, and we'll be assisting our friends and our loved ones, including ourselves, to improve our own health. So my background is the United States Navy. I joined the Navy when I was 18 years old, fresh out of Florida, shot right to Hawaii. Got to enjoy a beautiful time out there. I became a sonar technician. I got out of the military, moved to Vero Beach, and from Vero Beach and then Melbourne, Florida, I lived for a while. And then I joined the military again in 2003. I became a radar operator and then also a surface rescue swimmer. And that was the beginning of my military career and then my interest in going into health. I hurt my back really bad one time. I was in Vero Beach working but living in Melbourne. And my instant was like about 1999. I injured my back so badly that I couldn't lift anything. I went to grab a gallon of milk from the work. I used to work at the Windsor Beach Club down in Vero, and I couldn't lift anything. So that introduced me to holistic healing because the doctor, when he first saw me, was like, here's some Scalaxin, some muscle relaxers, and anti-inflammatories. That was it. That was the introduction to like severe emergency type pain and how it was treated. And so I was so desperate, I looked around the phone book back before Google was a thing. I looked at the phone book and looked for everything I can for a chiropractor and acupuncturist. And he saw me, his answer was like, listen, I can treat you for the rest of your life as a chiropractor, or I can treat you in a short amount of time and with acupuncture, and you'll be better, as good as new, possibly, and not see me as much. And so that was my first introduction to living and healing in a way that wasn't the standard traditional hospital room clinics and so forth, which I've been used to. So I was excited. Those of you that are in the Melbourne, I'll give a shout out in that area, India Atlantic. It's India Atlantic Chiropractic, Dr. Ed. I don't know if anybody knows him, but if he's around, definitely he's a wonderful person and a good soul. And from that point on, when I joined the military back in 2003, I had this crazy urge to maybe there's something to this healing without just taking a pill in my mouth, just taking an injection and thinking I'm healthy. And that was started. So the end of 2003, I lost a good friend of mine from, he ended up having a really tragic accident. He also suffered from severe depression because he was diagnosed with diabetes and he thought there was no cure. And I promised myself, as I saw, his passing and my best friend, who I was their best man at his wedding, his own father, strong, muscular man, passed away from cancer. And I promised myself, I cried, and I promised myself there's got to be a way to not suffer this way. Right before I joined the military, my younger brother was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Once again, I promised myself there's got to be a way. There's got to be a way. So once I'm in the military, I was struggling with my own problems. I was after a failed marriage, and I was drinking a lot and using whatever I could to substitute my pain. I went to support groups, went through healing. Long story short, I discovered the path of healing towards juicing, let's say, juicing and then eating healthier foods. So I lost 90 pounds within the first deployment I had. I was really excited to lose the weight, but I was more excited that I can use my body in different ways that I never knew. So that was in 2004. Jump ahead to 2007, I was introduced to Charlotte Gerson and the Gerson Institute through a documentary. I thought there was no way this could be the cure to cancer and other issues like that, diabetes included, arthritis, migraines, all these things. I got excited, but at the same time I became very pessimistic because I thought there was no way. And so I was excited to learn, get into the Institute, volunteer. That was always my thing, to get involved with organizations and see how they work. And I got to meet everybody there. And I started meeting people that were diagnosed with terminal cancer, stage 4, late stage, all different types, breast cancer, lung cancer, prostate cancer, diabetes, arthritis, you name it. And I couldn't believe that so many people were recovering. I met them. I'm good friends, still very close friends to some people that have recovered. And my first certification was in 2010. I practiced over in Encinitas, and then I volunteered to go to my first case, which was in Eugene, Oregon. And why I'm saying this is because this is the steps to my journey, and it's so important to kind of remind our steps to our journey. And not only that, but share them. Share these steps, because when you share these steps, it encourages all of us to say, hey, you know what, there's another way. And so once I went to Eugene, Oregon, hello, Carol. So once I learned this method, I started seeing like there was a possibility. So I went to Eugene, Oregon, and as I was there, let me click CT phone. I'm still clicking. So once I went to Eugene, Oregon, and I met my first case. His name was Ken, and he was 68 years old. He had stage 4 lung cancer. He could barely walk when I saw him at the airport, and I thought to myself, I am going to kill this person. This is my first case, and I don't even believe what I do. I don't believe it. This person is in severe pain. And what I found out, forgive the alarms. What I found out is he was hopeful, and he was doing morphine. He was doing marijuana for his pain. He was on something called Rick Simpson oil, which is the cannabis type oil. And he also had purchased his medicine to kill himself. In Oregon, you're allowed to do that at the time. It was called the Death with Dignity Act. And he was excited, not excited to end his life, but he was excited to learn a little more. And I was fresh out of being certified. So I told the Institute, this is what he's on, and can we do the therapy while he's on these substances with severe pain? He's saying between 8 and level 10 pain, bedridden. They said no, help him with what other things you can, but the therapy is going to work against what he's doing right now, and vice versa. So I told Ken this. Ken snapped at me, and he told me I'm a narc, and all these other things, started yelling at me, and I said, listen, I'm far from it. I'm the son of people that made some bad choices, and I would never, that's not my interest. My interest is helping you. So if I can help you, let me know. So he promised, after I kind of compromised and negotiated with him, I said, give me 3 days. If after 3 days, the pain comes back or persists, God bless you, and I'll make your time here with me less obtrusive. So he agreed, and in 3 days I didn't speak to Ken. I didn't speak to him once, and he didn't speak to me. We were kind of in a silent kind of just get my job done, just separate ourselves. And after the 3rd day, I felt miserable. I said, you know what, this guy's gonna die, and everyone's written him off, and even I was losing hope. And I told Ken, listen, this is the 3rd day. Let's go back to your morphine or marijuana you're taking, any Rick Simpson oil, whatever you want to do, I'll support you. Ken said, no, there's no possible way. I'm happy. I'm doing all the juicing, all the food you're preparing for me, the supplementation, everything, and I feel great. And so the remaining 7 days helping Ken, I saw his attitude, his energy, the pain, everything he was excited, and he lived much longer. He lived an extra 6 years, and we stayed in touch. And one of the most interesting things he said to me was, Anthony, you know what I regret the most? And I said, what's that? That I bought this stuff to kill myself with, and I can't get a refund. I said, oh man, I don't know how much you paid for that stuff, but we had some good laughs. So now to get on the journey, what I'm doing here, what I'm introducing everyone is to this boot camp of health, bringing health to the body, so of course we can focus our health towards us. Somebody's offering me money on the screen there. So anyway, with the health, with our body, we can definitely alleviate a lot of our suffering and the suffering of people we care about. So one of the things I've always asked, like, what can this journey do for others? Like, what can't it do? What's the limitation? So of course, there are some limitations regarding certain forms of cancers, certain diseases. But in general, what we do is we focus on the liver, assisting the liver to detoxify properly. And once the liver is detoxified properly, the blood is cleaned properly. Once the blood is cleaned properly, many of the organs, the tissues, the cells also start flushing out. So the purpose of the 12 courses that we're doing with this introduction, this boot camp, is to introduce to these 12 days. We're going to introduce different, staying on the same path of healing and improving our health, restoring health and improving it. Not just restoring it, but improving it. We're also going to take this to the next level. We're going to take it to the level where it's sustainable, it's optimal. I've been living this way since 2004, so that's going on 17 years of living this lifestyle to some extent and getting better and better at it. And now I incorporate it so much that what people consider sick, I don't get those things. To me, when I inhale the pollen, the roses. I mean, every day I go out there, it's like the most beautiful thing. So I experience life a little differently. I would never say better or worse. I'm just experiencing it differently. And that's something that I've had to learn the hard way. Going through my own addiction with alcohol and my stress management and so forth, and what I've learned, even when I was on the command as the religious lay leader. When I was on my command, I was the Catholic lay leader, and it was one thing to teach what I read and share and serve, but it's much bigger when out of a command of sometimes 400 and about 500 people to 800 people, depending on the command I was at. I'm hearing a lot of suffering, a lot of pain, relationships, emotions, friendships, broken marriages, you name it. And what I've learned is that a lot of things they're intertwined. Our spirituality and our bodies, we can't, from what I've experienced myself, I'm not speaking for everyone, but for me, it's very difficult to separate those two. I haven't been able to do it. They're very important. Your mind, your body, your spirit, they seem to be, maybe they're ingrained to me when I was a child. But anyway, I have incorporated this through the beautiful lessons I've learned through some wonderful people that have entered my life. Oh, I got to accept someone else. There you go. And one of the things I can say is that what validated even greater was more recently. I was at an event before this all stuff happened. I was in New York, upstate, and that's where I met a beautiful couple, Jeanette and Alan Murray. They ran after she was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, breast cancer, and I remember her having a presentation, sharing their documentary, sharing their story, her healing process. And I remember it's a beautiful journey she shared, and at the end of the journey, at the end of the lecture, I remember walking up to her and Alan, her husband. They've been married for 52 years now, which is really cool. But I remember seeing them, and I happened to mention, "Are you familiar with this therapy that I share?" But you didn't really mention specifically. And I remember when I said this, both their eyes watered, and I remember we embraced in a way that's not something that's very common, you can say. So she credits the therapy, the methods, and the assistance and support she's received from this. And so it's a beautiful bonding experience. So what I'm going to do for the rest of the time here now is to share some of the process so that you are ready. So hopefully you have a pen and paper, you put your phone on silent for a moment, and you can take notes, but of course we're also recording this so we can also share it. There are 4 components. There are 4 components, however you want to look at it, 4 fingers, on this therapy. Of course, we can expand on them, but let's keep it very simple. The first thing that I can say is we must introduce juice. Introduce juice. Keep it simple. For some of us, it can be a limited, or it can be hard to get a juicer or to get fresh juice, let's say. Get juice in your system. I have a beautiful friend that's been part of this journey where I'm here at Studio City. I've been involved with the family out here, and we've been in each other's lives since like about 2010 or 2011, I believe. And they were going through their healing issues, and they're doing much better now. They're both running. They're both much more physically active, and over 10 years, they look younger. They look younger, more vibrant, and more excited about life now. Not that they weren't then, but even more so now. And it's beautiful to be part of their journey. So what we need to do, these 4 components I'm mentioning, starts with juice, just like I mentioned. The other part is the diet. We need to focus on what gets inside our body besides the juice. So the juicing, the diet, then the supplementation. There are some things that we're not able to get in the foods we're getting right now. Our nutrition has decreased. The means of production have been much different. It's not farm to table anymore. It's farm to storage facility to who knows what, picked unripened, and you're not getting the quality. So supplementation, understanding that a little bit is important, and how that affects your system. And then finally, after juicing, the diet, and the supplementation, we have to assist the body in removing the stuff that's burdening us, the detoxification, as you call it. So the 4 parts: juice, you can write down juice, supplements, supplementation, So juice, supplements, the detox, and of course the diet. Those 4 parts. Those 4 parts have to be looked at. And each one is very important and they're very specific. What I have here, I'm going to zoom out, or not yet, but I want to show you something here. This is a glass of fresh pressed carrot and apple juice. And this here should be taken every day at least, about 8 ounces to begin with. Of course, more depending on the level of what you want, where you want to get at. But you have to be mindful of at least getting some juice in your system. It's the reason why we want to get juice in our system is because, just imagine, here's a leaf. This is for the green juice, let's imagine. But just as a green leaf vegetable, if you want to eat a high capacity and get the nutrients, the benefits of so many green leafy vegetables, it's going to be very difficult to eat 10 pounds or 5 pounds or, a heavy amount of vegetables and produce. Same with carrots. If you're going to be eating 5 pounds of carrots or 10 pounds of carrots, it's really hard to do per day. So you want to get as much beneficial products, nutrients, phytonutrients from these carrots from juicing. And what we learned is the Granny Smith apple, or the less sweet apple. The Macintoshes are also popular, but these are very important. And the reason why the Granny Smith apples are very important is because they help transmit the foods in our system. The pectin, of course, involved in the apple, the vitamins and nutrients, they're very important. So what happens is, to give you an idea of where the apples came into the Gerson therapy, Dr. Max Gerson, who was around in the 1920s, and he passed away in the 1950s, late 50s. But anyway, he suffered migraines most of his life. So he was so desperate to get a cure that when he became a doctor, there was no doctor that was able to give him any advice or recommendation to cure his migraine headaches. So I'm going to jump ahead to just keep it brief to continue on the discussion with the learning. But what Dr. Max Gerson did is he eliminated all his foods from his diet because he was so desperate to remove himself with his migraine. So he did, and the only thing he could find besides going on a dairy diet, on an all-meat diet, or all these different types of fads, he decided to go on nothing but apples. Granny Smith was very popular in Germany at the time where he was at, and he realized that he no longer suffered the migraine headaches, but he knew that he couldn't recommend this to any of his patients as a doctor. So what he did is he started introducing foods, and as soon as he started receiving some sort of headaches and migraines, he stopped. So what he found is, this is part of the diet, he eliminated the sodium chloride from his diet. So that's a very big part of the diet, and that's why I bring that up. So when he removed the sodium chloride from his diet, he found that he suffered less headaches. And when he maintained a vegetarian diet, and at the time, of course, vegetarian has a different meaning to some people, but basically reduced as much as he can the animal food, such as the meats, the beef, the chicken, and so forth, even back in the 1920s. And he suffered less migraine headaches. And that's something that can be a struggle, can be a challenge, and I'm not saying anybody needs to do anything like that now, but introduce things. So he went to the apples, he found great success, and then he was so excited with his success that he was sharing this with his patients. Back in the day, believe it or not, in the 1920s and maybe before, doctors had a different approach to medicine at some time. Some of them went to people's houses and they were ecstatic to see their patients get healthier and not on medicine for the rest of their life. And so Dr. Max Gerson, that was very big for him, because the sooner he can get a patient out the door and healthy, they don't have that problem, they have a good relationship, and they have a familial bond. So after that, he introduced the therapy, that treatment recipe to other patients. The patient who once had vulgar tuberculosis, he had, lupus tuberculosis. It was a skin disorder. And so he found out that lupus vulgaris, I believe it was a form of tuberculosis, skin tuberculosis, he said it on his writing. So he found that he was becoming cured from something that was not curable. And once again, Dr. Max Gerson was excited to see his patient not have migraines, but he found it very unlikely that his simple diet of eating vegetables and fresh juices was eliminating these problems. So much that he had a big study conducted, and they found that yes, that this actually does work, and he was removing the skin lesions and stuff from his patients. After that, a patient came to him and told him that his diabetes had been cured from following the same recommendations. And that was Albert Schweitzer. He's a Nobel laureate, a prize winner, of course, of the Nobel Peace Prize. And Albert Schweitzer, very well recognized, was cured of his diabetes. And from that point on, he became the megaphone for Dr. Max Gerson. Shortly after that, from there, arthritis. Arthritis was healed. Back in the day, it was a little easier because, once again, we have different toxicities, different things that are in our production now than existed back then, including, to some extent, he talked about nerve disorders. Even at one point, Parkinson's and early stages of Parkinson's, early stages of what he thought was Alzheimer's, arresting the situation, not necessarily completely reversing it, but some of the issues were stopping, not progressing as further. And from that point on, he finally met one woman who said that she had cancer, and she was curious if he would do the therapy with her, and he said, no, I won't do it because this is completely different, it's not something in my scope. And she had said, well, I'll introduce this part of the diet. This is another reason why I bring this up. In the diet, she introduced the soup, the Hippocrates Soup. The Hippocrates Soup is a very simple recipe. The idea is that it was actually created by Hippocrates himself, the father of medicine, as some people will say. And as he introduced the Hippocrates Soup and the method of diet, and even at that point he introduced a method of detoxification that they found in World War I that was very effective for the soldiers back then. He found that her cancer was reversing, and eventually she was cancer-free. And this has gone through the 1920s up until right now. We're in 2021, and I'm still seeing and helping and assisting people with different situations, and they're still alive. Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, I assisted a beautiful friend in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and he flew me from Ecuador, and I got to see him and his family, and he's still living really well right now. This is back in 2015. So you're looking at a 6-year clear cancer. He did other things also in the main ways, but I remember the assistance I helped with him, and I love being able to see people continue. So now that I've brought up some things with the diet, we know sodium chloride, or at least hopefully you're writing this down, remove the sodium chloride from your diet. If you want something salty, this is chard, Swiss chard. I picked it from, we have garden towers out here, but if you can find some Swiss chard in your local markets, definitely get it, chop it up, chew it up, or put it in your food. It's a very salty vegetable. Same with the celery, garlic, onions. There are certain vegetables that are just saltier. They have a greater concentration. And the reason why you want to do this is because the sodium chloride especially, will make us retain, will make the cells, you can call it edema, the inflammation, the water retention. Sodium chloride does retain a lot of water. The potassium helps eliminate all that waste out of your system. So you want to eat a lot more produce. So if you have an opportunity to find organic or non-spray vegetables, you could find it, but in the meantime, if you have to depend on conventional markets, that's okay for this moment. Just for now, try to introduce juices. That's the goal, is to go a certain way. But in the meantime, getting to that goal, we're going to have to enjoy what we can at the moment we can. So if we can't get fresh pressed carrot apple juice, what I say to anyone is drink a glass of orange juice a day. Drink a glass of orange juice a day. Try to get lemons in your food as much as you can. Try to get that in your water. That helps cleanse the body. Once you introduce the lemons and the oranges, orange juice, if you could say, if not carrot, apple juice, once again, get the diet, get the sodium chloride out of your diet. That's a big contributor to being unhealthy. That's just a fact. As far as what else to do on the diet, one of the biggest things that I am guilty of is, being that I love cooking, or at the time I really loved cooking, I always loved cooking with olive oil and coconut oil and grapeseed, all types of oil, you name it. And I always try to find the healthiest oil. We have to learn to reduce that. And I know it's heartbreaking for some of us, for all of us really, but we have to learn to cook with less oil. One of the things I learned at the Institute is to cook. When we cook food, we can get slicing onions as an example, or slicing tomatoes, a watery vegetable, and we put a little bit of water in the pan, a stainless steel pot if you have it, or a pan, and you just gently simmer it so that the water is released from these vegetables. And then you can either cook rice, if you're just still eating rice and beans or any other kind of food you want, for the moment, this reduces the oil. And if we're still struggling, that's okay. The biggest thing I want to take from this primer class, this is the beginning of the 12 courses, is that we have to find a way to not judge ourselves, not bash ourselves. I hear so many of my beautiful friends who will tell me, oh, I was on this juice thing for a few weeks and I feel great, I feel amazing. Then I have parties with my family and I slipped up, and then they feel down, they feel really upset with themselves, they feel guilty, let's say. So what we need to do for ourselves is we have to uplift ourselves, we have to uplift others. It's just it's huge to be part of that process. We want to lift people up and lift ourselves up, because it's very easy to slip up, I promise you. It's very easy to stumble and so forth, but we just pick ourselves back up, we encourage ourselves, we encourage others, because when we're doing this, we're part of that whole body, mind, spirit that I was sharing with you as I started, was that as that spirit just becomes lit up, lifted up, it's going to start projecting even greater. So it's going to start being the example. It's going to be sharing. You're going to be uplifting people without even knowing it. I get reached out by people I haven't talked to in 17 years. They find me on Facebook and they tell me, oh my God, Anthony, I'm not saying this to self-praise, but I'm saying this as for you. You're going to experience this. You're going to experience people that reach out to you for whatever it is. And it's the most beautiful feeling. So we want to do that. When we make a little stumble, just pick ourselves back up, drink a glass of orange juice, start simple. A beautiful friend introduced me to that simple concept. Just keep it simple, and she's on here right now. She's logged in. So just keep it simple with the orange juice. And when you can progress a little more, go into the carrot apple juice when you can find a juicer, when you can find a good source of it. I'll introduce you to some of the things I have right now that helps me get the most out of my juice. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit just so you can see this. So this here, on what you're looking at is, I guess is my right too. So you're looking at the right side. And this here is the juicer is called the Pure Juicer. This isn't the juicer anyone has to have to get started. This is the juicer I've traveled with, and I've helped people that are suffering some really strong degenerative causes, such as arthritis, diabetes, certain forms of cancer. This juice here, with this first section here, it pulps the juice so that it maintains the cold, it's a cold press, so it just comes out here all mushed up. And then the second part is a hydraulic press, so it presses the juice, presses everything out of a cloth, and you get the most purest juice you can possibly get. And without the heat or the spinning too fast where it breaks down the nutrients and the enzymes. The enzymes are going to assist your body actually use the nutrients into your body. So once again, keep it simple. If you can't have this yet, get what juicer you can at the moment. That's the most important thing. Get a juicer, or if you know somebody that wants to go with you and get a juicer together, that's wonderful. I have friends that do that, and it's a great, beautiful thing to build a community out of this. So get the juicer, or get a juicer and get started. A simple reamer for an orange, you can use it by hand, which is, they sell those are like a few dollars. Or you can use the orange juice machine. That's the most beautiful, simplest way to start the day, and it's a way to kind of give offerings and blessings. And I know that Shannon has been very gracious to host this with her Chicana Spiritual Center, and I know that having this, what is it called, it's a ceremony for some of the most beautiful things that we can experience. We want to make this like a daily ceremony. We want to say a moment of gratitude and greatness for what we have, what we can do. And so have that glass of orange juice with a glass of carrot apple juice as a moment of just giving thanks to yourself and getting you started right. And once you can start doing that, it's like, I have done so many things in my life. Getting that right start has allowed me to go further. Some of the things that I also have here is a big old bowl of Granny Smith apples. These apples are found at typical local markets. If you can't find Granny Smith apples, there are Macintosh apples that are less sweet. Of course, the less sweet, the less issues with people that have issues with the sugar. So as I said with the diet, remember the sodium chloride you want to reduce or eliminate as soon as you can. The oils, as much as we love them, we want to start reducing the oils as much as we're so used to them. So the oils, there are some oils that you can have a little bit. It's the flaxseed oil. But at the moment while you're doing this cleanse, and I invite all of us that are on right here to join me. Every day, just enjoy a glass of juice. We should share when we're doing the chat thing. Feel free to drop your email so we can stay in touch and support each other. I'll be happy to support you anytime. You name it, I'm available. I try to be available. And just get that glass of juice a day. We're going to be doing this for 12 weeks from what I've seen, or 12 courses, 12 classes, so 12 weeks. And it's exciting. You get to see the transformation. You get to witness it. And what's even more revolutionary is sometimes you see people that you barely see very often at the market, at the store, friends, Zooming people. They'll notice. They'll notice. You'll start turning orange. Too much carrot apple juice. So, like I said, to the diet, keep it simple. Keep it as much vegetarian as you can. Of course, with family events and things, you can introduce, just try to introduce it in a very gentle way. There's no judgment here. No one's kind of criticizing anybody for doing something a little different. Just get to the path of eating less salt, less oil, and more plant-based. The juice is, of course, important. So now, as I'm touching this, I'm touching the juice portion of it and the diet to some extent. I'm going to go into a little bit of the supplements. Like I said, this is a primer, so I'm just going to introduce it very basically. So just make sure with the vitamin C that you're getting from the lemon and the oranges, like I mentioned before, that if you do have access to finding a good source of vitamin C, that's very important. Especially right now with everyone concerned with the stuff going on. I don't even know if I can mention it here. It's that who should not be named. It's Harry Potter villain. So just get yourself enough vitamin C. Another big thing is that I've seen be really good is vitamin B3, also known as niacin. Niacin you have to be very mindful of because niacin will give you a flush. So you want to minimize the amount you can take. It's 50 milligrams. Once again, it's a vitamin supplement, it's a nutritional supplement. So it's not necessarily the medicines you buy at the pharmaceutical industry and so forth. So you want to introduce that when you feel comfortable with that, and be prepared that it will flush you out. So as you're changing your lifestyle with the juicing, with the diet, with just a couple of these substances, the vitamin C, the vitamin B3. If you can get a hold of vitamin B12, a lot of us are having issues producing blood. With the vitamin B12, that's going to help your blood production. So try to get a hold of that. Cobalt-methylene, I believe, is the safer one, but definitely do your research. Don't just take my advice. For all purposes, look into that for yourself. Those are the ones that don't cause any major issues at all. And finally, what I recommend for everyone, hopefully you'll continue communicating through emails and further courses. I do add potassium compound salts, which is very different from what people sometimes find in a pharmaceutical or a medical institute, which is typically potassium chloride. You want to avoid at all costs. When you hear the word chloride, just think of chlorine bleach or chlorine, how when you inhale it's poisonous, it can kill you. So you want to avoid things sodium chloride or anything like that, sodium chloride or the potassium chloride. Just stick to potassium compound salts. And you'll find that I could put that on an email so you have an idea of where I source mine from. So now you have a basics of the juicing, basics of the diets, a little bit of nutrition. Now when I go into the detox, this is something that will go further down the road depending on how deep you want to go down the rabbit hole. But more importantly is be aware. I want you to take this section, a moment where you take notes for yourself. As you progress your diet, as you're drinking your juice every day, as you're changing your diet, there is going to be a natural healing response. There's many different words for it. Some people call it getting sick. Some people call it healing flare-ups. Some people call it healing reactions. You're going to experience your body going through some changes. And I don't know if anyone that I'm speaking to has ever smoked cigarettes or drank alcohol or done any kind of substance like that, or coffee, if you drank coffee, of course. If you stop drinking coffee for a period of time, you're going to get grumpy. You can be aggravated. You can be a little testy, let's say. Same with the cigarettes, the alcohol, or some other substance. So prepare yourself. And if you have a partner in your life or a family member or workers, it's okay to say, hey, I'm doing some things a little differently. If I kind of snap at you or if I behave a little different, please understand and talk to me in a gentle way. Because there are some releases that are happening. Because as we're eating less of the foods and the things that we've done that kind of numb us, once again, this goes to the body, mind, and spirit. We want to awaken that spirit, awaken that body, awaken that mind. So what happens is you're going to start it's going to be like a baby that's been neglected. It's going to start crying. Your body's going to start crying. Not a bad way, but it's going to be asking for attention. You're going to feel a little bit of pain. Back, lower back, who knows where you're going to get it. But just be prepared for that. And what I do is, as the courses go on, I'll teach how to address each one. Some of them is as simple as addressing it with tea. Some of it is as simple as going to the bathroom. Some of them is a little more in that realm, which we'll get there when we do. And I promise that it's going to be a journey that we're all gonna get something from. We're gonna benefit from. And there's nothing to be afraid of, let's say. But it's good to keep things very simple and very light. Start with the juice, simple orange juice a day. Try to add lemon juice to water, let's say, when you drink it. Incorporate the diet. So remember, no salt, or reduce the amount of salt. Maybe that's a nicer way of saying it. Reduce the amount of oils you're using. Go on a vegetarian diet. The juices are important. And the supplements I mentioned, remember, try to get a hold of B12, B3 niacin, that's what it's called, vitamin C, and potassium compound salts I'll share with you. The reason why I mention these is because the foods that we're eating, a lot of them are lacking these nutrients. And if you don't have access to a method like I mentioned earlier with the garden towers and things like this in that nature, we can definitely talk about that at a future. I can direct you to someone who can definitely be more of an expert than I am. But this can definitely help you have greater than organic produce. And the reason why I say greater than organic, it's true. I was introduced this by a beautiful person, and she made it very clear to me, and I see it, that if I buy produce at the Whole Foods market, which is a very popular organic food store, and I buy the best expensive organic food, and I bring it home, and I let it sit on the counter, it'll wilt. It will actually wilt, and all the greens, like look at this, it will wilt and look nasty and soggy. But if you grow it yourself, or you go to a farmer's market sometimes, and you take that vegetable from the farmer's market or from your own garden and bring it into your counter, maybe put it in a little bit of water, it'll be like awake, alive. It's like, hey, I'm still alive, I'm still kicking, I still have something for you. When you get that at the markets, we're limited. So that's why the supplements are important. If you and when you can have those at the time. In the meantime, very simple. We're going to be doing every single day. If you want to join me, we'll do juicing every day. Orange juice every day. You can reach out to me, whether through an email, a chat, or find me on the groups that you have. That's very important, so that we keep on assisting each other and supporting each other, and we'll see progress. And of course, the other benefit of that is when you do experience a healing breakthrough, another beautiful little term I was introduced to, when you feel a breakthrough and you want to share this breakthrough with me, I can assist you with dealing with that breakthrough, because sometimes those breakthroughs are a little unexpected, and sometimes they're emotional, sometimes they're exciting. I don't know, I've never heard anybody have a healing breakthrough and start laughing uncontrollably. I wish. I haven't experienced that. I've heard, if anything, I've had people yell at me, scream at me, break down and cry sometimes because they're reliving something in their life. So all these things have been blessings to me, and so the biggest thing I want you to take with the 4 parts that I talked about, the journey that we're taking, is that you're not alone. You're definitely not alone in this journey. And the demand is there. I mean, there is a demand. Right now, people are reaching for whatever. I mean, I'm not going to judge you for this, but I've witnessed people with plastic around their head, their breathing. So we're looking for any way possible to stay healthy, to stay safe. Let's say with the mask, even people are wearing that. And what I'm saying to you with the biggest part of my heart is. The biggest thing I saw was back in 2011, before I saw the family that's supporting me right now. I saw what it's like to meet a person with diagnosed positive with HIV, with AIDS, with all this stuff. And I was there. I flew from Hawaii to Thailand to help this man, 44 years old, and the biggest reaction of all the time I spent with him and helped him. I remember when I put my hands on him without a glove. And this 44-year-old man started crying on me. Started crying, started shivering, and I said, whoa, Jakob, I said, why are you crying? What's going on? What did I do? Am I hurting you? And he said, no, no one has touched me for I don't know how long. It's been months. That someone somewhere recommended that health advice. When I heard that, when I saw this grown man cry, I grabbed his head, I put it on my shoulder, and I said, I'll never be afraid to touch you. So it's very important what we're doing. The juice, the connection, the meeting, that's sharing, the experience, because there's another way that we're all being instructed. It's not necessarily the healthiest way. So my way, or the way I've been shared with, let me tell you, the most healing thing I've had was feeling a 90-something-year-old woman grab me, squeeze me tight, tell me how much she loved me being there. There is nothing more healing than that hug and that smile. So with the juice, with the diet, with this, with that, all those things are wonderful, but those connections are the reason to heal. You know, some of us have, some of you right now have children, some of you have grandchildren, some of you have parents, sisters and brothers. It's so vital right now to connect and to realize how important you are, and for them to realize how important they are. So you taking the first step to simply drinking a glass of orange juice, not Tropicana or Minute Maid. You deserve better than that. Get an orange, get a few oranges, chop it up, grapefruit even if you'd like. Enjoy that orange juice and tell yourself, like, the best thing I've learned, and this is a great experience. I know some of you have probably practiced this already and heard of this. But take yourself out of your own body. Whenever you're conflicted or challenged with something, and you're like, you know what, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't feel like doing this. Take yourself out of your body. Sometimes in the morning, I take myself out of my body and say, Anthony, get out of here. Get out of the way. And look at yourself as a little girl, a little boy, and say, hey, what would this little boy or little girl want so much? A glass of orange juice. Do you know how much a glass of orange juice is so exciting, so wonderful to make, and drink, and feel, and celebrate? That's the first step. That's the first step. The reason why I say this as being the first step is because it's that moment of gratitude, that moment of just giving to yourself that little bit of peace. The rest of the day might be kind of challenging. You're going to have struggles and arguments and fights and yells and all these other things possibly, but you already prepared yourself. You drank that little glass of orange juice. You started moving in the direction of healing. And once you start moving in that direction of healing, it's just momentum. So what I teach, a lot of it's grounded and founded way back when I first was experiencing this back in 1999, let's say, or 2000, when I hurt my back with the acupuncture and so forth, introduction. But as I transitioned over to learning about cleanses, learning about the Mucusless Diet Healing System, learning about the grape thing and this and that, and then finally learning about the Gerson Therapy. And I learned the foundation well enough that I felt comfortable enough. And when I got certified and then recertified, I have such a passion to get it done right that when I got recertified in Encinitas a couple of years ago again, it was kind of in and out because I've had enough of a reputation. I have a good rating on Yelp. No, there's no Yelp for me, but enough that I've already done things well and trusted and so forth. So those of you that are going to continue on this 12 course journey, I am going to put you in a position that when you do speak to the certifying agent at the Max Gerson Foundation, if you want to go that route, you will be prepared for that. I'll make sure that you're prepared for that. And I'll make sure that person is also prepared for you to be prepared for that. So those avenues are available to you. If you want to take another course, another route, I'm going to put you in that position. The most important thing that I do with these courses is, and I've already experienced it, I have enabled people to continue their life not needing me to continue doing a therapy, a modality that's continued building lives, helping lives. Or people that I've met that in Oklahoma or in Oregon or wherever I've been to, in Thailand even, that still to this day, they're part of my life. When I take on an assignment, I'm pretty much committing to their family. One of the most craziest things is just so many years ago, I was in Thailand, and exactly that. I was with a Thai family. They introduced me to their family. The daughter had eczema, a skin disorder. I don't know if you're familiar with eczema, but it's very painful, for a little girl especially. And not just painful, but it's also embarrassing for some people. They feel ashamed. They feel all these negative things, a little girl. And I remember I was eating dinner, and for me, everybody's having their fancy dinner. And for me, I'm just enjoying my salad and simple foods, salad and water. Is this thing not clicking? Oh, there it is. So I enjoyed my salad, and I remember a little girl came up to me and said, brother, or uncle. They say uncle over there. And say yes, what's wrong? What can I help you with after our dinner? She says, thank you so much. And I said, oh, you're welcome. I'm happy to be part of part of this experience for a week, and thank you, And she turns her leg, she turns over, she points at her behind her knee, and I forgot already. I forgot because I was there to actually help my friend Rangsan, who had blood pressure issues. He had heart disease. I was there for him, but I also helped his daughter. So anyway, she said, look, I looked at her little behind the knee thing, and I thought, that's strange. I forgot. And I told the young Rangsan after she sat down, I said, your daughter's kind of strange, man. What is that, like a Thai custom I'm not familiar with, showing the back of a knee to a strange man? I don't know. And Rangsen said, Anthony, my daughter had really bad rashes on her knees, in her inside elbow, and her lips. You don't notice they're not there anymore? It's been 1 week. Oh, wow. And that's what I'm saying right now with these little tiny steps. There are some things you're going to be like, whoa, I haven't had a headache in a long time. Haven't had this pain in a while. You're going to forget it. You're going to forget some things. Some things you're going to forget. So when that little girl did that to me, I forgot about it. And you're going to experience a journey, and your body's going to respond to it. So be ready for your body calling out to you, because it's almost like it's a separate animal. It's like a little pet dog you have that you have to take care of for the rest of your existence, let's say. So you got to just start preparing for it very gently, and I think that's the best thing. So remember the four things right now. I'm going to use this just as a foundation because everyone needs structure. I was told. They said, Anthony, sometimes you don't go on structure, but I promise you I've had structure for a lot of my life. So remember the four things: the juicing, the supplementation, the diet, and the detox. And once again, we're just going on the basics right now, and we step it up. So if you have your pen and paper, or you can type it up somewhere for yourself. And of course, anything and everything I can share with you, I'll share with you online, or my own PDFs, whatever I can. If I have it, if I don't have it, I don't have it. These are some things to use as a guide. Of course, if you haven't read them, that's great. But the first thing I like to share with people is a very short little. It's a short book, and it helped me out in my relationships way back in 1997, I believe I bought it. Susan Elgin's, Elgin, I think her name is. It's The Gentle Art of Verbal Self-Defense. This is before my introduction to Tony Robbins and all these wonderful speakers and teachers and leaders. The Gentle Art of Verbal Self-Defense. I was going through a hard relationship, and I'm bringing this up because it has to do with what we're going at, healing and food and everything else. So the Gentle Art of Verbal Self-Defense helped me identify in the relationship I was in my own life. Identify as you can say like a martial arts, Gentle Art of Verbal Self-Defense. Identify where the punch is coming or where the kick is coming. Identify where it's coming, because sometimes you can fall, you can scrape your knee, and you'll have a bruise, you'll have a scab, and you'll know where you fell, you'll have your memory of it, and it'll hurt, and it'll go away eventually. Or for the rest of your life, you'll have a scar, and you'll always remember. Sometimes someone says something to us, or you hear something on the news, or whatever. We say it to ourselves, and we never heal. We never know why we're hurting for the rest of our life. We don't know why something your father said to you when you're 8 years old is still impacting you in your 40s. So the Gentle Art of Verbal Self-Defense was enough for me to align, like, okay, where is the attack coming from, or what am I seeing as an attack? And now, how do I take that attack and how to deflect it? Not fight back and punch someone back, verbally or whatever, but how to take it. And what I got out of that book as I finished reading it was when I finally admitted and saw, holy moly, I am the aggressor, I am the attacker, I am the abuser. And it's a great feeling to finally address, like, hey, what am I saying that can be hurting someone? Where they being sounding judgmental or mean in some ways, and I don't even think about it. So this applies to how we drink our juice, how we eat our food, how we do certain things. So we have to be mindful with, like, okay, I'm going to drink this juice. I'm not going to think to myself, man, I've been such a jerk. I haven't drank juice in years. One time I gave an 18-year-old girl a glass of carrot apple juice, and she went to the doctor's office later that day because she was having a dizzy spell. I asked her parents about it, and her parents were the ones that told me. They said, well, she's never drank fresh pressed organic juice in her life. She drinks Coca-Cola all her life. You know, this is a beautiful Samoan family that I know. And so once again, instead of addressing it like, oh my God, I can't believe you did this to your daughter and this, and it's very easy to do that. Anybody can do that. They go, wow. I said it to him. I said, wow, that's incredible. I love that you shared this with me. We trust each other. We love each other enough to share these reactions. So that's what we want to say to ourselves as we drink our glass of orange juice or start living this lifestyle, this next 12 course. And remember, we can continue communicating. It's not limited to once a week. So what I say with this is have a support system. Create a support system. Sometimes your support system's not inside your house. Sometimes it's not with your family members. And it's okay. It can become that. But we have to start. We have to start. We have to begin. You know, we have to begin building our own ecosystem. One of the things Dr. Max Gerson stressed at healing was that there exists two metabolisms. The internal metabolism and the external metabolism. And I do agree with that. And if you do look up that, I definitely recommend you look into the internal metabolism, external metabolism. Look up, I think it's Bechamp, Bechamp. He is the doctor, or excuse me, the researcher, professor, but Bechamp was the one who spoke during the period of time of Louis Pasteur. Bechamp was promoting the cellular theory. Pasteur was the germ theory, where if you get a magical Voldemort, I guess, what's going around right now, something, I can't name it, so we have to be very careful with what we say, I guess, out of everybody's respect and whatever was going on. So Louis Pasteur's idea, pasteurization, in case you're wondering where the Pasteur and the pasteurization comes from, he created that. So it's basically believing that some small, tiny, microscopic entity has such an amazing impact on your health that just coming into contact with my friend who had HIV and AIDS and everything else, that I would be infected and contagious and suffering and die. That's the idea. The germ theory is building your terrain, building it so that your body is resistant to it. It will fight an infection. It will fight a virus. It will fight a bacteria. It will be working right. So much so that if you're going to be taking the therapy as an example, the Gerson therapy full on, out of other therapies, but I'm just saying this one specifically, if you do have breast implants, it's recommended to take them out. If you do have certain implants in your body, also take those things out. There's a lot of things that certain ways of living and therapies, your body will attack stuff that shouldn't be in your body. And sometimes we're told, oh, you're just getting a little sick after you've gotten a quick little jab with something. Your body sees something as an enemy when it's clean, when it's eating, fresh pressed, organic pressed juices, eating good vegetables and foods. To go back on the subject of the diet, I want you to also incorporate not just the vegetarian diet and low salt or no salt and no oil. Try to get more fresh, raw foods as well, as much as you can. We have salad. I've been making salads every night before I go to bed, like a ton of salad, and I think to myself, I don't want to eat all this salad. It's too much salad. I'm going to feel gross. Salad is incredibly important. It'll sustain you, it'll satisfy you. And let me promise you, when you're full of salad, you're not reaching for crackers and chips and Doritos and salsa. You're like, I'm so full of salad. I have no room for this stuff. So stuff yourself up with salad. Stuff. That's the coolest thing in the world that I've learned. When I lost the 90 pounds, And I have friends that I love to death. They're still in my life, but they're on these yo-yos. They're on these yo-yos. Everyone's telling them, try this, try that. And I'm not going to mention the specific diets right now because, once again, don't be a judge person. Just observe these things. I'm still the same weight. Since 2004, after I lost my weight, I'm very thankful. And when I get up, I'm able to go running and playing and enjoying life. It's a beautiful feeling. And I've met people that weren't running when I first met them. Now they're outrunning me. They're outrunning me. And it's like, oh my gosh, where am I? I'm way behind. So what I'm saying is, like, there's so much for us to enjoy. I made a joke yesterday, and I want all of you to hear this. It's not a great joke, but right now we were running earlier today, and we passed a long line of people. We were running through Ventura Boulevard, or this area here in Studio City in California. There was a long line of people waiting for the dispensary to open, which is fine. Everyone needs their thing, and they feel they need their stuff. And when I got back, we were talking about that because everybody in my family and friends, do what they want to do. And I remember I said it as a young child, and I say it here now as an adult, or I think I'm an adult. I really promised myself as a kid, I'm going to do everything out there. I'm going to do all the types of substances that exist on this planet. Once I've experienced this entire planet without the substances. I want to experience everything, all my senses. I want to experience my mind. I want to experience my touch, my taste, my smell, to a degree that I didn't know was possible. There's good and bad about that. You're not going to be on there today, I promise you, but it'll get there. And when you do, it's alarmed me and alarmed some of the people that I've helped in a good way. But your senses will become a little more clear, whether it be eyesight, smell. I mean, I've had friends that couldn't smell very well, and then they do this cleanse and the detox and so forth. It's a lot more stronger. They pick up things they didn't know they can pick up. So it's exciting. It's beautiful. When I go running and I smell the flowers, the roses and so forth, they're so strong. Like, they're so strong that the roses call to me. I don't know if you've ever went on a hike or a walk. I remember I was in Kauai, and I remember this smell felt like someone seducing me, and it was attracting me. And I was hiking, and I couldn't get it out of my senses. That was just driving me crazy. And I got to this patch of area where these flowers are at. They're called passion fruit flowers. If you get a chance to look at them, they're exotic, they're alien looking, they're beautiful, purple, green, white, you name it, yellow. And I saw her. And I say her because that's how I related to her. And I was so tempted to grab this flower and take her on the rest of my hike. But my senses became so sharp, I felt a strange communication with this flower. I'm not talking spacey, I'm just saying I felt it. And she said, hey, don't grab me, leave me alone. Let me keep being a beautiful blessing to this world, to everything else around me, and do my job. And I felt so blessed. And I remember that years ago. So as you go on this journey, you are gonna start seeing your volume change. Your hearing is gonna change a little bit. Your sense of smell will change. Your taste is absolutely gonna change. The salt, the sodium chloride we put in our food, inside our ketchup, inside our sauces, inside all the tasty stuff we love to eat. When we start removing the sodium chloride from our food, and we start taking a vegetable like this and just chewing it, there is a specific flavor to every leaf, every stem, everything. So an heirloom tomato, I mean, it's like a whole different world. And I want you to experience that. This is the first day. This right now is the first day to everybody that's here in this room, and we record it and share it to those that are available to see it and to be interested in it. They get to experience that as well. And not just the taste and the senses and the spirituality and all the connections in the community we're building, but also there'll be times that we'll start seeing people that are either or ourselves overcome some problems, overcome some issues. And a lot of that starts back from our liver. Focusing on the foods and the juice and the supplements and everything in that direction, cleaning the liver. So it all goes back to that. And once the liver gets clean, I had someone give me a great example, a wonderful example. She's online, of course, right now, so she knows what I'm talking about. So this is a glass of fresh, clean, fresh pressed organic carrot apple juice, right? It looks beautiful, tastes great, tastes wonderful. Now imagine this was an empty glass jar, and just think of anything you wanted that you love. For me, it was beef. No, excuse me. Yeah, it was beef lasagna with beef, and I like fish. I love fish. So think of all the food you enjoyed eating, and put it in a glass jar. Just put it in Tupperware or whatever. Seal it, and then let it sit out in the sun for like a few days. Let it sit out in the sun, and then come back to it, open it up, and just I know we're not doing it now, but visualize that. Imagine that smell, that stench. It'll hit you. It'll knock you out. And so if I did the same thing with nothing but fresh pressed juice or apple or just vegetables, this bowl of carrots and apples and veggies, sealed it up in a Tupperware. Just smell like nothing. Just smell like fruits and vegetables. That's it. Maybe some alcohol. So that's a good way to look at it. And what I'm teaching right now, that I've learned over the years, not just with this therapy, but with some of the books I've read and my own path, my own exercises, I've learned to clean this glass jar, and I'm going to share that with you. How to clean your glass jar enough. It's never going to be perfect, not that I can think of, but it's going to be clean enough that when you consume this juice, or when you consume a food that you really want to consume, or just the smell of flowers, you're going to smell it at a whole different level. This is why I try not to recommend you got to take this supplement. Besides the stuff I talked about to assist you, I'm talking about the things that are sold at the general GNC stores and all these multivitamins and all these quick fixes and stuff. Maybe they help, I don't know. But what I do know is that if my body is a little burdened, especially being in the military, being an alcoholic for a long time, being on caffeine for a long time, of course, and all the other foods, I've blocked myself up so much that when I drink carrot and apple juice, as an example, there is going to be a reaction, a chemical reaction. I'm going to feel it, which is okay. But it's a lot safer getting a reaction from a glass of orange juice, a glass of carrot apple juice, than if I start taking certain medicines, certain things, causing even more burdensome. And that's something that I want you to know, that when we take prescribed medicine from the pharmaceutical industry, from what I remember reading and understanding, and you can look at all the little fine print, it seems like all of them are liver toxic. And one of the things that I'm sharing with you right now is with these juices and so forth, this lifestyle, is we're removing that. We're reducing the amount of toxicity in our body. Maybe not eliminating at first, but we're reducing the stuff going in our bodies. So it's like this house I'm at right now. There's a roof over my head. And imagine you're in a roof over your head right now. If there was a leak in the roof, it was leaking and pouring down on the floor, it was a mess, and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, I got to get this water out. I can do the best I can with a bucket and mop and so forth. But as long as I don't repair that roof, as long as I don't address it, then it's going to continue causing that. This is our body. This is our body. Our bodies represent so much. And once you take care of this real estate, then of course we can take care of the real estate outside of us a little better. I'm not saying that we don't take care of our real estate, but once we do that, by shutting off reducing the amount of sodium chloride, reducing the oil, reducing the stuff that burdens us, including the medicines we've taken, reducing the medication. If any of you taking medication right now, just in your own heart, maybe that's an interest of yours to start reducing that. That's one thing I've seen and witnessed. All the people I've helped have gotten off their painkillers. There hasn't been anybody I haven't helped that hasn't been taken off their medication, and they're happy that they got off their painkillers and medication. I mean, I can tell you I was off my painkillers when I injured myself. So to have that blessing that you don't have to take a pill to feel better, or to feel that you need a pill to live. And believe me, I've had people scream at me and yell at me and tell me if I don't take this heart medication, I'm going to die. I've had that as well, and I don't confront them confrontationally, let's say, or aggressively. I just look at them and I say, you're a blessing. And I do my best to be compassionate with them, because we do have people that maybe they have good intentions. I do hope they do. I pray they do. But they do feel that that's the only way to solve your issues. So there's going to be a point while you're doing this that there's going to be a struggle, but all I ask for you to do is just simply drink the orange juice, drink the when you can, drink the carrot apple juice every day. Be excited about that, and just start that way. You know, if you can incorporate the salad later, that's fine. If you can do some of the foods, we can do that. I can talk to you about the foods, the diet, some of the recipes that I've learned, and those are the biggest things to do. Those are the biggest things I want to talk about, those 4 steps. I know we were doing I was doing a 1-hour class. There was supposed to be a 20 or something minutes of question and answer. I'd love to open up for anybody here. I don't know if you prefer a chat or prefer I like interaction, so either chat or verbally, whatever you feel comfortable with, and I'll be happy to address any question you may have. Does anybody want to do that, or you want me to continue teaching and training? It's up to you. Any questions right now at this point? Comments? No? I can continue. Okay. No questions then I'm going to continue speaking, I guess, until the time. Unless anybody does come up with a question, let me know, and I'll definitely address it. Oh, okay, I see. Yes.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
So, if you were to frame where someone should start, I know if you were to talk about Gerson a little more, and what your daily, you don't just start with orange juice. What do you do for the day? What you and Robert have a little process you go through, and you learn to integrate that. So where would somebody start? What's the very first thing or I'll just say this, what are 3 things that you always do every day?
Oh man. All right, this can get kind of personal. Is everybody all right, I'm not embarrassed to say it, but I also have to be very, very gentle with anybody here. I do
Wait, I'll qualify it. Those 3 things, not only do you do them, but explain why Dr. Gerson and Charlotte taught it.
Oh my God. All right, so this is very powerful, and I was going to save it for the next class, but I see the excitement. Okay. So I do what's called an enema. It's a detox method. It's going to be addressed later. You don't have to do it if you don't want to do it at this moment, because if it's just simple juicing, it's fine. But I do the enema. Some people have done, what's it called? Hydrotherapy. Some people do different things. That's
Colonics.
Colonics, saltwater flushes. There's different methods. For me, I do the enemas every morning. I do that. Sometimes I've only done it once a day, once a week. It just depends where I'm at, what I'm doing. So the reason why, to give you a little backstory as far as, let me talk about myself first before I go to the backstory. So for myself, I saw, as I was helping people that were, like that one case, the lung cancer, stage 4 lung cancer, he was in severe 8 to 9 to 10 level pain where he couldn't get out of bed. And as I did this, or he did this, excuse me, he did the coffee therapy, no more morphine, no marijuana. The guy who was HIV/AIDS, who was in severe pain, and everyone I've helped, I don't experience the same level of that pain release. But for me, when I do my enema, it helps flush out all that built up toxicity that gets released from the carrot apple juice, specifically, and from the Gerson green juice, and from the foods too. You're going to be flushing out the liver. The coffee enema is specifically meant to stimulate the glutathione S transferase. It's an enzyme that's released from the liver bile duct. And the glutathione S transferase is meant to remove all the electrophiles, the free radicals, all the cellular waste, the stuff that needs to get out of your body, because that's what's going to happen. So, as a spoiler, or as a Christmas person who opens up their Christmas packages early, I was going to share for the next class, but it's important to know that, yeah, you'll build up some pressure. I'm not doing this in a negative surprise, because of course, like I said, I'm open my communication. But I do cleanse, and I've stayed in Chiang Mai, in Ecuador, here in Los Angeles. There are greater amounts of pollution, whether it be air pollution water pollution. There's a lot of stuff in our water. Our teeth. A lot of people don't realize, a lot of us, especially me, we have amalgams, we have dentistry work, we have bacteria, we have so many things that happen here in the mouth that there's the damage that's done is severe. It's really big, and we don't know this stuff. We don't know the effect it has. Well, we kind of know it's toxicity. But to remove it from my body, I do that. I know Robert has shared with me his experience in the ink business, in the printing business. There's ink, there's chemical, there's solvents, there's solutions. Many of us, those of you that live in Melbourne, Florida, or anywhere else where there's a lot of tech industry and so forth, we're surrounded by that kind of metal, whether it be in the water or in the air or in the soldering that you do, you're inhaling that. So it starts going into your cells. And that's why I was saying to eliminate the sodium chloride, so that your body is now allowing the water to be released with all that waste, the cellular waste. So a good example of that blew my mind. I was just laughing earlier this morning. We were talking about the dispensary thing. I had my first case, Ken Sage. He told me one time when we were doing the cleansing and so forth, in one of the days, he told me he had an acid experience, an acid trip. I've never done acid myself, but of course I hear about it. And so Ken did Sage, oh my God, I just had an acid trip. And I said, Ken, are you doing acid? What's going on, man? You're like 60 years old, you got cancer. I mean, I'm not going to judge you, but tell me. He's like, no, I didn't do this since I was a little teenager. Oh my God. And I said, you're releasing? You feel that you had a thing? He said, yes. So of course I contacted the Institute. At the time I sent the message to Charlotte Gerson. And yeah, you'll release stuff that's in your cells decades before, such as if someone is doing chemotherapy, it's actually against, you should not be doing the coffee enema, because the coffee enema will start pushing out those medicines, the chemo stuff. So that's why okay. so that's why you want to be very, it's recorded. We're recording the thing. So when we do the coffee enema, introduce later, and if you're not ready for it or don't want to do it, that's fine. When I heard about it, I didn't want to do it. I promise you, I told everybody about how wonderful it was, and I didn't want to do it. When I finally did it, and when I introduced people to it, it's the most amazing, positive thing. I mean, I went to Thailand. Imagine me going to Thailand, introduce a bunch of Hells Angels bikers, tough guys, because I introduced a friend to this lifestyle. He tried to introduce his biker friends, digesters they were called, that's what it was. And they're all tough men, tough, burly, big-chested men. Oh, I'm not going to do that. You can't convince me to do that. Only, derogatory statements are said. And I said, listen, man, if it takes a little tube, to go in there and make you there, then go for it, man. I mean, I'll celebrate you coming out. And I know it's a joke, and maybe I shouldn't joke that way, but it was funny, and we laughed, and eventually they did do it, and a lot of them had got off their medication, the lifestyle they did. I mean, I received emails from people that have lost a lot of weight, and one of the things I could tell you that's still shocking, I wasn't going to get into this because I didn't think about it until just now, but one of the big things in Thailand, the area that I was at, is that a lot of men, older men, go down there for some lewd behavior, of course, or they're getting their Social Security and they're living longer paychecks or whatever. So anyway, as I got messages from some of these men, one of them was married, has kids, and he was telling me, hey, because of course when I got him to do this cleansing, I told him like, oh, you can go back to your lifestyle. Go back to drinking all the stuff you want and doing all the drugs you want and your lifestyle. Go back. Well, after a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I'm receiving messages saying, hey, I don't want to go to these events. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to go behind my wife's back or something. I don't want to do those kind of things or do those things I used to do. And at that point, I started putting it together. Maybe, not a definite, but maybe when we are something happens to us, some trauma, some damage, whatever you want to call it, happens to us. And this is not an excuse, but sometimes we reach for something that makes us what we think feels better. He asked me, well, what do I do? I don't want to find a woman of the evening or whatever it is, those terms they use, and I was shocked. I was in shock. Here this tough, good-looking guy lost weight, and you would think the most secure person in the world opened up and said, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do that lifestyle anymore. And then I realized, when when we feel more complete, we don't want to screw that up. We want to celebrate this. And you know what? I told them, just go on with your life. Focus on your wife, focus on your kids, and be happy. And I'm still friends with those people. I have a friend that had that lifestyle, has a beautiful, beautiful baby girl, beautiful girl raising her, and he's been married since I spoke to him about that. I'm not saying this is the answer for everything, but what I'm saying is when we feel complete, we feel less inclined to kind of damage ourselves with a bad partner, with a bad lifestyle, with things that are bringing us down. I have a good friend. I went to United Kingdom to practice what some people call fruitarianism, breatharianism, all these kind of things. I went over there, and I remember meeting a lot of interesting people. And one of the things that I was turned into is into these good books, Hilton Hotima, Man's Higher Consciousness. And there's 2 universal laws. And I thought, I don't believe all this stuff. I mean, I'll give it a shot, but let me give it a shot. And so he basically says the first law is that you have to recognize the divine inside you, that you are part of, that you can't escape from. And I thought to myself, my Roman Catholic upbringing as a child, there is no God before me, I'm the only God, that's the first commandment, and so forth. Other religions have something very similar to that, other belief systems. So in Hilton Hotima, he talks about you are the divine, you're part of that, you can't escape it. And the divine is inside you. And then that's the first universal understanding. The second universal understanding, he says, that's a must, is you have to cater. You have to be the best caretaker. You got to be the best host and loving of that divine being. And then I thought to myself, how do I visualize the divine? How is that possible? What is divine? Some of you have children. Some of you had children. Some of you had someone in your life that was very precious to you, is precious to you. So that's the best thing I can do, is I can generate an imagination or a feeling of like, what? That divine is nothing but a precious child inside me that hasn't been born yet or still there. It's, picture that. It's the most beautiful picture. When you see that baby, when you feel that baby inside you, that it exists, and you really want to care for that baby, you don't want to put beer down its throat. You don't want to do this and that to hurt your child. So you start becoming a better caretaker. And once we start experiencing what it's like to be a good caretaker, it's the craziest thing in the world. Like things that I've read in books that I thought was like far gone, crazy fantasy stuff. I've had wasps when I was in Ecuador, the most hideous, scary wasps that will bite you and hurt you, crawling all over my fingers, because I felt this peace. I felt this beautiful like fascination with them. Same with bees. I've had bees swarm around me, and it's like the most beautiful feeling. We have garden towers. Some of them have fish. Same thing. I put my hand in the fish pond area, and the fish will come to my hand, and some, not all of them, but some will come and be stroked by my hand. There is a universal feeling, I think, something that connects us, that exists. And so my passion isn't just getting somebody from near death, from stage 4 to being vibrant and no longer dying, but it's also to see that connection. To see that connection become less burdened with numbing agents, whether it be a Facebook social media thing or a drug or alcohol. And when we start experiencing that connection, it's like we do not want anything between us and that rose I smell, or that passion fruit flower, or me. And when I smile at someone I'm going running, I love that looking right in their eyes. My smile is big and wide, and I look at that person and I mean it. I said, "You are beautiful." When I can say that to someone and mean it, it's powerful. It hits somebody. It's like punching someone with like this amazing power. And I want you to think to yourself that that's the ultimate goal. And some of us that some of you here that are joining me that have children, just continue radiating that beautiful thing. Some of you have grandchildren. Imagine being this active grandparent or parent that's constantly radiating this nourishment, this food. And once we're able to do that and continue being that provider inside our who we are, it's overwhelming. I promise you that. I get sometimes people reach out to me and I'm like, oh my gosh, and it's loving, it's beautiful, but it's powerful. It's a heavy wave. And so we have to learn to kind of share that wave. So what I do with my teaching is get from the simple, the physical part of it. Like I said, this boot camp is body, mind, and spirit. So it's the physical, the body, the mind, because you're thinking about it, and the spirit, because if you look into the root word of spirit, even me speaking Spanish, or those of you that you learn Latin, let's say, the Latin root is spiritu. It's breathe, it's breath. We need to share. Breath can't be, you can't hold your breath. You can't be selfish with your breath. We all share the breath of life. We all share the divine breath. In Hawaii, I think I've had some people here on this Zoom call here that have lived in Hawaii. Hawaii, the first part of ha is breathe. There are some medicine men that have spoken to me in the Native American tribes here in the United States that had said to me that, yeah, that's one of the methods of healing, breathing. You used to breathe for the suffering of people that are suffering. If you've watched The Green Mile, they touched that on The Green Mile with the character John Coffey, where he inhaled the death of someone else, the suffering, and he expelled it. I witnessed things as somebody who's helped people that were, the guy with the hepatitis B, HIV, and AIDS. I've seen things expelled out of his body that you can only describe as something in that nature, something very on the under nature. That's the nicest way to say it. And once he started becoming healthier, and his releases became cleaner, fresh veggies and all this other stuff, I saw him going from a state of stroke. He had his left hand like this, his leg all tensed up. I have all of it chronicled on my channel on YouTube, and seeing him reverse a lot of that stuff. To see Bell's palsy reverse, to see stroke reverse, to see issues that I didn't think possible, or diabetes reverse, it's magical, because you're constantly told that there's no cure, that there's only a pill, there's a treatment, there's a therapy, and to see that and to be part of that, it's amazing. So this first day is only the first day. There's 12 more, and they're going to be. What I'll do is I'll expand on each module a little greater, not just on the Gerson Therapy and the parts to that, but also on the experiences that that are all part of it in its own way, but it will improve it, such as like I said, the Mucusless Diet Healing System, the plant-based, the raw plant-based. There's people out there that are really have wonderful experiences with multiple sclerosis, MS, with nerve damage, nerve issues. I'm not speaking as I'm a person that suffered that. I'm just saying there's people out there that will share their story and their experiences. So there's a lot of possibility, as well as arresting and even reversing some cases of what we consider age, whether it be hair, skin. I mean, there's times where I was on a strict juice fast for a while. I was juice cleansing. I've done water fasts. I've done all these interesting things. But I remember there was a time where people would tell me when I'm running really hard, I would sweat what would smell like lemons and pineapple juice. People were telling me I smelled like that stuff. And for me, when I read this in a book of what the natural human should smell like, it was in the How to Know God by the Sutras of Patanjali. It's the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali is like the book, the formula of yoga. And apparently, the human body shouldn't be offensive. The body shouldn't smell offensive. You shouldn't be, body odor shouldn't shock you. It should be like, that smells good. It's what animal, if you think about it, if you have dogs and cats, generally they don't smell bad. You see animals in the wild, they don't smell bad. And I'm not saying any of us smell bad. I'm just saying that we've put into our lifestyle foods and lifestyles that have hindered some of that. And we want to be that radiant flower. When we're a radiant flower, it's amazing. People sometimes just, attracted to you, magnetized to you. There's things that I can tell you in my life without a cent, without 0 cents, broke, in debt. I've traveled around the world, and I've been very fortunate to help children in Thailand, help people actually become very successful in their life, let's say, with their relationships and finances, and even in health. I shouldn't be doing the things I've done. And it's living in abundance and seeing that abundance, So the diet, the health, the healing, the cleansing, the vessel, keeping our vessel clean. Once you start seeing that, it's like the idea of simply monetary currency and exchange. It exists. It's there. People use it, let's say, and it's how the world is, how it is now, but there's also another world, or when we live in it. And it's how I've been living. It's been pretty exciting for me. It's sometimes I can tell you that I don't expect it and I'm surprised, but then there's times where I feel like, you know what, I will be provided for. It's the most beautiful feeling in the world when you say it, when you feel it, when you mean it, and when you look at someone that you just meet, brand new in your life, and you give them that feeling of like, yeah, we'll be provided for. We'll take care of each other. I've been to strangers' homes all over the world, including Canada, Thailand, Africa, whatever, all over the place, and to feel no matter where I go, there's a home there. There's a feeling. There's a connection. There's a family that I'm part of. It's crazy. It's the most amazing thing, and being part of that, seeing them grow, seeing their children. Some children are way big now. They're taller than I am. So there's all these wonderful things that we're going to experience. So remember, every Tuesday, I'm assuming we're doing every Tuesday. So next week I'm going to be in Florida. I'm going to fly to Florida. Maybe I'll go around the world. I don't know. But for now, I'll go to Florida, and done that a lot. So I'll be in Florida next week. There'll be a live class. I'll be there physically with everybody there, so you can see that I'm not a projection of your imagination or some CGI effect. And I'll share some time there. I might be there for a few days. So they'll be part of this boot camp program, but we'll also be broadcasting it for anybody that's not obviously in Florida. And then from there, the following week will be online and so forth and so on. So we'll be doing this, but in between now and then, I want you to know that my line of communication, and I definitely recommend any kind of chat you can put in there, put the email in there, or share it with the Chicana Center, Chicana Spiritual Center, so that we can stay in touch, we can support each other. If you're having any struggles, any issues, we'll work together to try to get those addressed and solved and work ahead. Because all of us, it's your birthright. It's our birthright to live fully healthy, with less burden, less issues. That's what I've learned. Sometimes when I was younger, I thought, when I was a kid, when you're a little kid, you think everybody you deserve everything. You're a little brat, you deserve the world, let's say. But there's a time when you get a little older, you think to yourself, I don't deserve love. I don't deserve to this. I don't deserve, the job or whatever it is, this friendship. So this journey is going to be a journey not just body, mind, and spiritual, of course, but everything. It's going to encompass all of us. And so I'm definitely grateful for all of you to be here. Like I said, we got a few more minutes. Does anybody have any questions or comments? I'm open for it. Books I've read, anything like that, any kind of curiosity with books I can share. This is the Healing the Gerson Way book. If you want to look at that one, you're welcome to. This is the book that I recommend. This is a good primer if you want to Charlie Gerson's face on there. Let's see, the other one I have here is a very good book. It's Dietary Healing by Catherine Alexander. This is a really incredible book. It's a little more specific, a little more, it's really good. She's in Australia. She's based in Australia. And then there's other books that I recommend, like Arnold Ehret's The Mucusless Diet Healing System. It's a very simple book. It's $5 or $1. The Essene Gospel of Peace. That's a really, really good. That's a really great book. The Essene Gospel of Peace. You can find it online. It's free. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So look into those books. If you're reading it and you want to go along, I'll be happy to share my experiences with it. Some of you might have an interest in going plant-based. If you don't, that's okay. If you want to just stay with more vegetarian food, that's fine too. If you want to go plant-based, I'm here for you. If you want to go more raw plant-based, I'm here for you. I've had experience with that. A high-carb lifestyle, low-fat, high-carb, I've done. I've done the high-fat, low-carb, I've done that as well. I've done water fasting, juice fasting, dry fasting I've done. The kriyas, if you're familiar with the kriyas, I've done a lot of that stuff, so I'm familiar with that. And it's put my body in a position where when I wake up in the morning, I want to run 6, 15, 20 miles a day. I want to exercise, not because I want to be the super body guy. My body feels like an animal, and I want you to experience that as well with me. And you will. I mean, like some of the people that are online right now have experienced that, and they'll be happy to share their experiences. And plenty of times they outrun me. So I want you to do that as well. So thank you so much for everybody who's messaged me and stuff. If you want, you can leave some more contact info on there, and we're gonna stay in touch. And I look forward to hearing from all of you. So thank you so much, everyone. Any questions? Let me know. I'll stay on until everybody shuts down, so that way I make sure if I can answer any questions. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I just have Dan. I think Dan is the only one left. Are you still there, Dan? Do you want me to disconnect? Or are you disconnecting? Or you have any questions?
I don't see anybody else on.
I see one person, but there's no camera, just a name. But I don't see any. Oh, thank you. So yeah, thank you. So I think that was his chat, and that's it. Thank you very much, Dan. And I guess I'll end the recording. Let me see. I have to press end, and I guess I'll do the pause stop. I press stop recording first. I'm guessing, right? Stop recording.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Stop recording. Well, you can just hit end, leave it, and it'll stop automatically.
Oh, okay. Let it go to the cloud.